a bad mood.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
What the fuck are we gonna do now?
Get high.
Oh, look at that. I didn't hit the right button. Wow. Boo.
That's what she said.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Still Toking with. You know, I'm super excited about tonight. This gentleman has been in a ton of amazing things that I have watched. I'm going to leave it right there. You know who I am. And Jar Jar is still out on sabbatical.
That's a kind word, sabbatical.
Well, I was going to be mean, but I love Jar Jar. But taking his place tonight is the one and only, our man, our brother, Jags.
What up?
How you doing, my man?
Good as ever. Just hoping to duck and dodge these hurricanes.
Right. I do real quick before we go much further. I do want to say that we're sending all our thoughts and prayers to everybody in Florida and in the southern states. You guys all got hammered last week by Helene, and man, Milton's Milton's bearing down on you. We got a lot of friends down in the deep parts of Florida, man. Stay safe down there, please. And
Yeah.
we'll see you soon on the road, I hope. You know,
Hopefully. I'm gonna try to do some touring this next coming year. So
awesome. It'd be nice to have you back on the road with us.
I know.
Right. And as always, well, not always, but recently.
Yeah, I've been around. Yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting with this guy. I got a bone to pick with him. It's because of his fucking character that my wife won't watch horror movies with me anymore. Seriously. True fact.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll get into
You're
that.
right. Yeah.
You know, we'll definitely get into that. Let's just bring him right in. Let's welcome the badass, Mr. Michael Bailey Smith.
Thank you, guys.
Wow.
Well, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Yeah, I was going to say welcome to the show. It's a pleasure.
Before you jump in and start hammering him with questions, I just want to say, Michael, from all of us, thank you for your service and thank your family for their service.
Thank you. Yeah, my older son kind of took my path. He went into the military, was in special operations as an Army Ranger.
Oh, nice.
Seen combat. Tons of respect, and got out, played college football, and now he's going back. He just went back in, so he's been in for about a month. So he's taking a different path, but I can't talk about it. But he's taking a different path, but still in the military. And with all the crap that's going on nowadays, you know.
Well, thank him personally for us.
Yes. Thank you.
Right. Now you were the 82nd Airborne, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I was an 82nd Airborne. Yep. Yeah.
So you used to jump out of planes just for the hell of it?
Perfectly good ones. They
psycho.
They always said there's only two things that fall from the sky: bird shit and fools. And if you don't have feathers or wings, you kind of know which category you're in. But it was fun. That the whole Army 82nd Airborne thing was by design, not something that I was trying to do just by happenstance. My dad spent 30 years in the Air Force, and so I traveled all around the country and never spent more than a couple years in any one place. Even though I was born in Michigan and I have relatives there, I kind of call that my home state, but I don't have a hometown really. And so when my dad got stationed, that's going to age me. When my dad got stationed in Tehran, Iran.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah.
So back then he was there building basically OJT programs for the Iranian Air Force. And they had a big contingent of U.S. military and civilian contractors like Bell Helicopter, Boeing, everything like that. So, they took the family there. And my whole dream and goal was to play college football, right? That was my whole dream and goal. And so when you're in Iran, going to high school, they did had high school football teams there. So the school, Toronto American School, was big enough to have 4 teams. And then there was a community school that had a mixture of Americans and Iranians. And so they had a team too. So you basically played an 8-game season, and then they had an all-star game after. And I and no one was going to recruit me whatsoever. And so I told my dad, hey, I want to go to college. And he says, well, I can't, I'm on sergeant's pay of 6 kids.
Right.
Good luck, And he says, what you can do is join the military. And so I picked something that was the shortest amount of time, but still hardcore. And I wanted to. So they threw me on a plane from Iran to Frankfurt, Germany. That's a whole different story in itself. But I went to the recruiter there, and I'm showing up at 6'4", 160 pounds, and I tell them, I want to be an Army Ranger. And they're like, they look at me and go, they start laughing. And they go, yeah, it's not happening. And so, but you need to put some weight on. How about going to 82nd as a paratrooper? And then you can put some weight on and hopefully get a chance to do that. And so that's what I did. I went in the 82nd and got the GI Bill, spent 3 years there, and there was a captain who's a chaplain in our unit named Chaplain Gimbal. He played for Kansas State. Big dude, probably had 20-inch arms hanging out of his uniform.
Wow.
Big outside linebacker. And he calls me in his office and he goes, Corporal Smith, I understand you want to play some football. And I said, yes, sir. And he goes, well, I played at Kansas State. Where do you want to go? I said, I'll go anywhere, sir. I just want to play college football. He goes, all right, let me make some phone calls. About 2 or 3 weeks later, he calls me back in his office. He goes, guess what, Corporal Smith? Notre Dame wants you, so get ready. I'm like, okay. At the time, this is 1979, and so I had no idea how the gravity of that, right?
Right.
And so about a couple months before I got out, he said, if you go to Notre Dame, you're probably going to sit the bench for a while. So where are you from? I said, I was born in Michigan, sir. And he goes, so he made some calls. Well, Eastern Michigan hadn't won a game in a year. And so I said, they need some help. So they called them. And so I went to Eastern. And I remember standing in the hallway ready to go see the head coach, talk to him, tell him I was going to play tight end and defensive end. And I'm sitting there like parade dressed, ready. And then here comes the O-line coach. Hey, you that paratrooper? And I said, yes, sir. And he goes, I need a center. You want to play center? I said, I'll play anything, sir. And he goes, all right. So that's how it started. Center. That's my dog growling. I started, when I went in the military, I was 160 pounds. I got out weighing 240. It was funny. Everywhere I went, I was doing push-ups behind Humvees and tanks and foxholes, and it didn't matter. I was always training and eating as much as I can. Those Joe Weider, those Crash Weight Gain Joe Weider paint cans. Yeah, I'd do one of those in a week. Just pound as much as I can, plus all the food I would get. And so I went in weighing 240, and then I started center. The first year I got redshirted, and then the next 4 years I worked my way into the next year I started at guard, got my ass kicked big time, going against Illinois. My dog is going crazy. Anyway, so
is it dinner time?
No, he thinks he's the baddest dude in the neighborhood. So every dog walks by, and we're on a corner, so it's either out this window or the other window.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So then I started training hard and went from 240 to 50 to 60. By the time I was a junior, they had NFL scouts come and they threw me out there, and I ran a 40 and 4.8 weighing 290.
Wow.
Yeah, at 9% body fat. I had no fat on me. I was just freaking yoked. And
that's a big fucking dude right there.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a big dude.
That put me on the radar. And then going to my junior year, I had everybody looking at me. And then going to my senior year, 2 days of the first game, I dislocated my knee, partially tore a patella tendon. They put it back in place and they wrapped it up. I played the rest of the season. It dislocating a lot during the games. And I have to tell you, that is some painful stuff. Your dislocated finger, that's dislocated knee. To see that's a lot bigger body part. And so after the season, I had surgery, got ready for camp, and draft came. I was supposed to go, they said, between the third and fourth round. Never happened. And the draft ended. And then the moment the draft ended, bum, 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 knock on my door. And there was the Dallas Cowboy scout. And he said, hey, you been signed yet? And I said, no. He goes, well, Cowboys want you. And so I
Not
signed.
the Cowboys. Oh, no.
I know. So I signed, and then the next thing you know, I was in camp, and I was doing great. And unfortunately, during another crazy story. I don't know if we have time for this one, but across from my locker was Randy White's locker. This is 1985, and Randy White's locker says on it, big old sign. It says, "Rookies don't fuck with my shit." And you had these open lockers, right? So I get set up to go peeking in his locker by this guy named Crawford Kerr, and I look in there, and I turn around, and there's Randy White looking at me, So I got on a bad foot. So the first time we had one-on-one drills, Randy White's like, "Come here, Rook, let's go." And first time we went against each other, he ate my lunch big time. That's freaking Randy White, super fast, all pro.
Yeah.
His nickname was the Manster. And so the second time I went against them, we went right again. And this time I kind of cheated and I choked him. And he didn't like that too well. It started a huge fight. And then during that, I tweaked my knee. And the what do you call it? Trainer saw it. My knee blew up the size of a basketball, and I got called in. And next thing you know, I got released. The next morning I got called in, and Tom Landry called me into his office and said, we loved your potential, but your knee is just not going to make it. So I went home crying. Yep.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I could see that. But the end of one dream actually opened the door for a new dream that you didn't really expect.
Agreed. So with everything that happens in life, and I learned this throughout my life, like I went through a divorce, right? Just like probably 3 years ago.
Been there.
Yeah. So you've been there. But what it led to was the most phenomenal woman in my life that I've ever met, that I'm totally in love with. She's the hottest chick on the planet, and she likes me. She loves me. I mean, that's pretty good. So
that's a plus.
The last one, when I asked her, "Do you love me?" She says, "No." "Do you even like me?" "No." Damn, was it that bad, really? So that's what I got. But this gal, Paige, I'm just as blessed. So again, when things happen and you think the world's coming down on you, there's normally another door is going to open up for you. And so for me, I went through after the Cowboys, I went through a bit of depression, like most athletes do, when something comes to an end, pretty immediately. And I got in a lot of trouble in Detroit, and we're not going to go to that. There's a screenplay that I wrote that has a lot about that. But what it did made me do it led to me going to California. And then I went to San Diego, and I was in there. I was kind of bodybuilding, and I met this guy named Steve Endenberry, who later became an American Gladiator. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to go up to Los Angeles to read for this movie called Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. Why don't you come with me, and maybe you can audition too?" I said, "All right." So at the time I was working at Xerox. I had a degree in computer science, working at Xerox debugging software, and I hated it. I'm not a cubicle dude. I respect anybody that can do that. That's a different skill. Being in a cubicle 8 hours a day, I can't do it. Right. And so I like being my own guy. And so when I asked my boss, this one lady, I asked her if I could take off. She says no. And then I said, "Well, I'm going to go anyway." And she goes, "Well, you're fired." I said, "Okay." And that was it. So I quit my job, went up to Los Angeles with Steve. And the audition was really literally on Hollywood and Vine. And you can't get any more Hollywood than that. Right. I saw the Walk of Fame. I saw the Hollywood sign go by. And I'm this kid who's been in these small Air Force towns my whole life, right? So I got to see Hollywood. And he went and auditioned, and then I went and auditioned, and there was this guy named Stephen Hopkins. He's like going, "So, Michael, have you seen those Freddy Krueger movies?" And I said, "Of course." He goes, "So we need someone big and scary who can laugh." And so he goes, "Give it a go." So I let this big freaking laugh. He goes, "That's fucking awesome. Guess what? You got yourself a job." I'm like, okay. So next thing you know, like a week later, 2 weeks later, I'm on the set with Robert Englund in the trailer, and we're talking about Freddy Krueger, and I'm going to play a bigger version of Freddy Krueger. I'm like,
how fucking cool is that?
Right?
That's what I'm talking about. So, and he was the nicest dude. Later on, when I won an award for The Hills Have Eyes, and I don't know if you can see it, it's on top of my finger. That's right there.
Okay.
The bloodiest beatdown award.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. So then, but it was just when I won that award, when I got up, and it was a televised award, I got up and gave my acceptance speech. I thanked him for being such a gracious dude, because he was, a lot of times you work with if you get like you work with somebody and he turned out to be an asshole, kind of ruins your experience. And like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Right.
He was like just the coolest dude and sat down. It was like really awesome. And it really encouraged me to do more. So, yeah. And so I got to play a Super Freddy.
Right.
And now I have people with tattoos of Super Freddy on their body. I have action figures. There's t-shirts. It's the craziest thing. And so that just kind of, that again, from the military to football to now the Hollywood thing, you know,
Right.
and again, I took the same mindset as I did, you know, being in the military or being in football, is that you got to train your ass off, right? If you want to be good at something, I take the attitude of like Kobe Bryant. If you look at Kobe Bryant, he was a great basketball player, just without even doing anything, just shooting, you know, great basketball player. But he would shoot like 1,000 shots before and after a game every day. And he became one of the greatest because of that. So I kind of took the same attitude as an actor. After I got this role, I said, this is what I want to do. So I moved up to Los Angeles, got a apartment with this kind of weird dude and slept on the floor for a while in the back room and didn't really have a job yet. I found an acting class, and then I found other acting classes. I was taking acting classes like 4 nights a week, and started learning the craft, learning about how to audition, how to do scene study, cold reading, improv, all these things like that. And let me tell you something. Doing Nightmare on Elm Street, I was scared shitless. When they called action, you know, listen, I light up against Randy White and, you know, and other people. I don't freaking care. Man to man, let's go. I'm ready. Right. But when they call action, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to say some words. You're freaking out. So
A scared little schoolgirl appears.
It's still, even to my last auditions, I was always a little nervous, but you learn to love it. And you learn the same thing as football. You learn, you know, when some guy I lined up a gun says he's going to kill me, my mom and the wife I haven't had yet, you know, and my kids, you know, fuck you. Let's go right now, you know. So the same thing with this. I love that. I love the excitement. I love the auditioning. I love walking in and crushing it and getting a role. There's a lot of big guys that started when I did in the early 90s, and most of them have faded away. And because they didn't take the craft seriously, they just thought they could be a big dude and go rah, 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 right? But if you walk in, know how to, you know, have, you know, build a character and you know, and all those things like that. So that really helped me out quite a bit. And then I just started working. And I didn't really talk about it. I just worked. I didn't, you know, my first movie was Nightmare on Elm Street. And then I did a next one was called CIA Codename Alexa with O.J. Simpson, right before he killed his wife, and supposedly. Yeah. So him and Lorenzo Lamas, and how that started. Wow. And how that started was that I was just supposed to do a fight scene with Lorenzo. And during that, the director goes, hey, Michael, just say this right here. So I said it. He goes, hey, that's pretty good. He turned to this guy who had to be the writer who's on the set, said, write him a role. Next thing I became the fourth lead in the film. I had single card billing at the beginning and all this. So I guess so that was that. Then my next film was, guess what? The Fantastic Four.
I was going to say the Fantastic Four.
I got to play Ben Grimm, the thing. It's clobbering time, you know. So I did that. I'm the first guy that's ever said that, you know, on screen. And so, with that though, the guy that was in the suit. So I played Ben Grimm, the human form, and because of the whole thing, and they were going to shelve it, no one knew. They had to get this thing going before the end of 1993. They hired a stunt guy to be in the suit. I could have easily done it, but this suit stuff started like 6 months beforehand because it took a long time. But I built a great relationship with a guy by the name of Carl Sfolio, who is a legend in the stunt world. Been in some big movies and things like that. I just spoke to him a couple days ago. So he was in the suit, and then I voiced over all. I did the voice for the thing, and then I was on the set every day he was, so we matched kind of the same type of movements and things like that. And that's something I learned throughout my career. Like when I did Charm for 2 years and I played Belthazor. Yeah,
I was gonna bring that up because my wife looks at like my guest list because it's in my office. She'll go, she goes, how do I know that guy's name? And when we came up and saw you, it didn't register till after we left. She goes, oh my God, wait a minute, he was on Charmed.
Yep.
I said, yeah, but I didn't tell you that when we were in there because I didn't want you to be making a scene.
That's cool. So yeah, I did the same thing with Charmed. I make sure I work with Julie McMahon to make sure that my actions matched what his were. So, it's out of respect for the character and the actor as well. But yeah, so that's kind of how it went. And then from there, I did my first TV show ever. Was a sitcom, pretty famous, called Murphy Brown.
That's
and
right.
I played one of the secretaries. And, it's funny when you start acting and you're not in the business. I don't know about you, but when I look at Hollywood, when I was outside looking in, I always thought like film actors were the best actors, right? They're most skilled, the best, whatever. And then maybe TV, and then maybe something else, maybe commercials or sitcoms were down at the bottom. Boy, once you're in it and you work with all different types of mediums, from sitcoms to episodics, television to movies, you realize that who the best actors are? Freaking sitcom people. They are awesome. They are smart. They are on it. When I did a Family Matters, and I had to play this one character. I guest starred on Family Matters. I got to fight Urkel.
Yep.
And pretty cool.
I know.
Yeah. So I shut the door. My dog wants to be on the podcast too.
Bring him in. It's okay.
Bring him in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I forgot what I was going to talk about the sitcom. But yeah, like I did Family Matters. They would hand you every day a new set of sides, pages, dialogue. You had to learn. They bring you in on Monday and you shoot on a live show on Friday. And in the meantime, they're either they have all the studio heads, the director, everybody's there watching off camera. I can't tell you how many times sitcoms I've done. I started with the guy next to me, and I'm guest starring out, and he's like co-starring. And next thing you know, next day that guy's gone as another guy because he's not working. It's brutal. I mean, they will get rid of you in a second. So
right. And you've been on a ton of TV series like Drew Carey, Murphy Brown, Wings, Star Trek Voyager, X-Files. I mean,
all the shows I watched.
That's why I said that at the beginning. It was like I literally watched almost every show that this man has been a part of in one way or another.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, again, a blessing. It's one of these things, though. Going through my career of 30 years, I've done some really fun and cool stuff. But and a manager, an agent told me this a long time ago, that you have so much time in your career before you can try to get to that A-list level, right? Where you become a Hollywood star, whatever, making the big money, and you're off and running, right? And your time, a lot of times in the business is limited because you'll get aged out. I can't play it now. I'll be 67 here in a month, and less than a month. And there's not too many 67 bad guys walking around, right? So not Hollywood bad guys. So anyway, maybe in real life, the mobsters, the guys in New York. So you have to kind of make it happen, right? And if you don't, well, then you kind of age out, and that's what happened to me a little bit. So there's probably 3 or 4 times through my career where I came this close to stepping at the next level, and then something happened. I remember one time there was a movie, and it's funny, I get residuals for it, and I'm not in it. And the movie is called Scorpion King. Remember that movie, Scorpion King?
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing Undisputed with Ving Rhames and Wesley Snipes. I had I was shooting this in Las Vegas. My manager called me, hey, you got an audition in Los Angeles. You have a couple days off. This is perfect. Just drive into Los Angeles. So I drove back about 4 hours away, and it got there, and I read. They said, hold on for a minute. They brought some more people in. I read again. Hold on for a minute. They brought in The Rock. And I read again. I said, great, thank you. I left, and I'm like, I think I did a pretty good job, you know? So I'm driving down the 101 heading back to Las Vegas, and this guy pulls up next to me and tells me to roll down my window, and I did. He says, hey, I was in the audition after you, and I think they were still talking about you. I think you're going to get this. When I got back to the set of Undisputed, all of that crew was going to work on Scorpion King next. That was the next film. And they're all congratulating me. I didn't even know it, but saying, hey, congratulations on getting that role. It's going to be really great for you. And things like that. I said, oh, thanks. I appreciate it. I called my manager. She goes, yeah, they called for your availability, what your rate is. And then they called me back to go ride a horse. I did that, did all this stuff. And then the phones went silent. Nothing. And then my manager calls me and says, so the rumor has it, Schwarzenegger made a call to the director and got his buddy Ralph Mueller into the role. And so so I was on the call sheet. I was the guy who was going to do this. The role was taken away. So
Schwarzenegger kicked you in the balls, basically.
Yeah.
But you're still getting paid for it, right?
It's not. It's a couple cents.
Well, yeah. Those residual checks add up, though, after a really, really, really long time.
Like Hills of Eyes, that's a nice one, you know, and a couple of Charmed. Those are some nice residual checks for sure.
Right.
I bet I still watch those.
Oh yeah.
I watch those at least once a year. Oh
yes. Yeah. So that's been my, the career, and then I got into I started writing. It's funny. I did a movie called Space Marines, and I played this really great character. And it's funny, we come to the end of the film, and director goes, "Holy crap, we didn't kill you off." And so I'm like, oops. Well, if you don't mind, I could write like a couple pages. So I wrote my ending, and it's a part where this whole thing, the finale and everything, all of a sudden it cut to me being surrounded by all these space marines, and I'm a space pirate. I pull up my weapons and go, it's payback time. I look around and go, maybe not right now. Like that. And that's how it ends, like that. So it led to a sequel. So I wrote the sequel to it. Oh. Well, when I was doing that, the production company screwed me on my money from the last film. And I go, well, screw that. I'm not going to work with them. So I rewrote everything and changed it. And so that got me into writing. And then I showed some people, hey, that's pretty good. And so I've always been a good storyteller. I've always been a good writer, just through college and just things. I've always written stories.
Right. And
so I started learning the craft. I'm ready to kick my wife out of this show. I did. Behave yourself, lady. I know. Here, show everybody who you are. Come here.
She can say hello. Come in and
say hello.
Come
I'm dressed in my Christmas jammies. I've been pinning up Christmas.
Come closer.
That's even better.
I know I am.
Hi.
I'm in my Christmas
This is Paige.
I'm having my tea.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Sorry about the noise.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to apologize to us.
She's too beautiful. She can make all the noise she wants.
Right.
And by the way, I'm coughing a little bit, and it's because I had COVID about 3 months ago, and I still got this darn cough that I can't get rid of. So I don't know what the hell is going.
That cough has been going around every state around the country. Everybody has it. Jeff has had it for a few months, and it wasn't COVID related. I've had a little bit of a cough for about a month now, but I feel fine.
Yeah.
Negative to COVID. So yeah, it's just.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, the whole thing with there's been moments where things, I was gonna be made a series regular on the show and things like that, and it just didn't happen. So I remember distinctly, I did a guest star on Blackish, and everybody and their brother would have been super happy to be a guest star on Blackish, and I was sitting there on the set. And I'm like going, I'm just not happy. I'm just not. I kind of want to do something else. I'm getting kind of burned out, and I just a little bit. Even though I was working, I did that last year. I did 2 movies. I did an Amazon pilot. I did some commercials, and then I did a couple TV shows, and I had this, and I was working on Blackish, and I said I should be a lot more happier than I was, and then I said I'm just not. And then I got back to my trailer, and I called my manager. And I said I think I'm done. She goes, really? She goes, yeah. I said, yep. I think I want to do something else, and that's what I did. I walked away in the middle of probably one of my busiest years. It was 2000, I think 16 or 15 or something like that. I walked away, and so the transition was fairly easy. So, and the reason why is that listen, I don't call myself smart very often, but I must think that I kind of, and so instead of like most actors, if I was single, I could have easily lived off the money I was making as an actor, right? But I had a family and kids and all that stuff, and mortgage, and we had a house built. And I was doing pretty well, but I had a secondary job just to make ends meet during the times I wasn't working, because actors normally don't work like gig after gig after gig, right? And so I worked, instead of waiting tables between acting gigs, I worked at a test laboratory for consumer products. And so I started that in 1989, 1990 when I started acting. And I grew up with technology. And so I worked at this place called National Technical Systems. And they tested like computers, peripherals, operating systems, all those things like that. With my degree in computer science or computer-aided design is right up my alley. So I wrote test code. I knew different types of programming languages, and then grew up when the internet, like Wi-Fi came out and internet started happening. I was with that whole thing. And then so when I decided to leave the acting world, I went to this thing called Consumer Electronics Show. It's in Vegas every year. It's in January. It's one of the biggest shows. Hundreds of thousands of people go to this. And I went there and I brought my resume, and I got a job with a company called Osram Slovenia out of Boston. So got that, worked that for a year. I got into sales. I find that being an actor, you actually become a pretty good sales guy, because you're good at relating with people. You can do all those things like that. So, and plus with my career that's kind of diverse, I can pretty much relate to anybody, right? Walk into a room and I don't care who you are, I can probably strike up a conversation one way or the other.
Right.
And sales is all about trust and relationships. At the beginning, you have to deliver, but to build that relationship, because you can have the greatest product in the world, but if someone doesn't trust you, they're not going to buy from you. So I took that and worked for them for a year. Then I jumped to a Chinese company, and I took them from 0 to about 400 million in about 4 years in sales. And then the next company, I took a startup. I took them to Series A funding, but didn't like the environment. So I said, man, you know what? I'm tired of making other people rich. It's time for me to do it. So that's why I launched this company called IoT Powerhouse. So
IoTpowerhouse.com, right?
That's it.
Right.
So the cool thing about it, I created this site on Canva, which is, I've heard of Canva before. I've used Canva. And so Canva has an AI tool in there. And I said, hey, create a superhero image of Michael Bailey Smith.
I love that. I loved it. I went to the site and I'm like, this Flash. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So it was like they created a bald-headed superhero. Me. It looks like me. A younger version, a lot of more handsome, and definitely, but me back in the day. So it's perfect. It's on my business cards I have right here.
I loved it. It was awesome.
So for all you folks watching or listening later, anything that we've talked about thus far, including Mr. Smith's powerhouse.com, is in the, it's in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. So we urge you to go ahead and check out all those links, from his IMDb's to his newest venture here that we're discussing now.
Yeah. So what I do is I represent exceptional technology companies that need help in sales. And not only have I replaced my income from my last job, but I doubled it in less than about a month. So and so I've been very blessed.
Impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then there's one last thing I want to mention is that my wife, Paige, she has an invention that she has 4 patents on. She went to New York Institute of Design. She's an incredibly talented, smart lady. I ain't figured out why she's hanging out with me, but
Hush puppy.
yeah, but she just told me hush puppy. See, only
Because you're bald.
Yeah, it's bald. She likes bald guys. No, I'm the first bald guy she's ever hung out with, but I'm the best. That's all that counts. But anyway, it's called Inseam Saver, an N with a November dash and then seam saver, and we're launching this at the end of October. If you ever have clothes that shrink when you wash them, she has a way of returning them back to their original length. And so we have created a whole superhero persona around this and we're going to do comic book. We're going to do, we already got an animated commercial we're doing I've turned her into superhero. It's really, really good. No, it's SEAM.
SEAM.
Yeah, Exeam.
SEAM.
Saver.
Oh, fat fingers.
No, that's all good. It's all good. So ncsaver.com. If you go there. Anyway, so that's it. So we're getting close. So it's exciting stuff. So
That's pretty cool. I mean, I would just rip them trying to stretch them out myself.
This way, yeah, there you go. Inseamsaver.com. Just like that. Very good. So jump to that. Go to that at the beginning of November. And there's a product that she's going to sell that's really easy. It takes about maybe 30 seconds to there's a 30 seconds to install, and it works like a breeze. She's been using it for 10 years. Just never. Yeah. So it's been tried and true, tested for sure. So any questions for me? I'm done talking.
I'm done talking.
Well, shit, he queued up 42 minutes of a 1 hour show talking.
No,
I'm good with that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you played 2 different characters in the 2 different Hills Have Eyes, right?
Yes, I did. Played Pluto.
You played Pluto in the first one.
That's the one where I won an award. And then I remember coming back, I took a trip up to San Francisco, and I was driving back on the 5, and that's Mary Magdalena, the producer for Hills. She calls me and says, "Hey, guess what?" I said, "What?" "We want you back for the second one." I said, "But I died." And she goes,
"Right,
a different character." And she goes, "Want to send you a script? You just pick a role." And so I wanted, so just what she said. And so I wanted the big guy who was like the kind of a not very smart guy. I wanted, because I love those kind of characters. It's funny, when I first started acting, I hated playing anybody that was dumb. I hated it because I felt I wasn't very smart, and so I didn't want to. It was bullshit.
Right.
Now then you learn through acting and things like that, just through character, that I love those characters. I love playing innocent, big, like Pluto. Pluto was the big innocent kind of guy. Yeah, he grew up in the wrong family. If he would have grown up in a nice family, he would have been. He didn't want to eat anybody, but he lived with a bunch of cannibals, and so of course he's going to eat the baby, or try to. And in real life, that baby actually liked me. When I was holding it, going that whole situation with the baby.
That's a riot.
The reached up and touched my face, because the baby doesn't know anything about what ugly is,
Right.
So anyway,
wow, that's great. But Papa, did you
Hades.
pick that part? Papa
Hades.
Yeah, so I wanted the other part, but they said, "No, we want you to play Papa Hades." So I did. I put on a little bit more weight. I got a little bit more rounder because I didn't want to be like really lean, and like it was in the first one. So I was big and nasty. So it was funny. There's a scene in the movie in the second one where I throw the one soldier on the table, and I start, unfortunately, that's how it's written, that I start raping her.
Right.
And my dialogue is, "You give me baby." And so, which is like very nasty. But during that, so there's this whole thing that Papa Hades had this snot and stuff like that coming out of its mouth. And that was kind of my choice to do something like that. But when I was doing it, I was over the top of her. a big glob went right out of my mouth and went right into her mouth. I know everybody's like, oh. But here's the situation. She was a trooper. She goes, let's keep going. That's what she was saying. She didn't bother her whatsoever. So she was a badass chick. No, she's pretty cool.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we mentioned all kinds of amazing things that you've been part of or played parts in, you know, and one of my all-time favorites is Creepy in Men in Black 2.
Yeah. So, I was during part of my career where I wouldn't really do like a small part like that. But when Gary Sonnenfeld calls your manager and says, "Hey, we want Michael for this role," of course I'm going to do it. And so I did. I remember going out there and I had 3 lines. And so before we start, he's like, Barry walks up to me and he goes, "Hey, Michael, so we're going to cut this one line. It doesn't really work. I don't really like it." I said, "Hey, you're cutting 33.33% of my dialogue here if I only have 3 lines." And he started laughing. But Barry's a pretty cool, great guy. And then Laura Flynn Boyle, who was the actress I played across, right? You know, big time actress. And I remember standing there and we did like one take, the first take, a rehearsal take. And I licked her face. "Hey, pretty lady. And you taste good," right? And then I drag her off into the bushes. I lick her face, and then they had to change the shot, whatever the lighting and things like that, and the camera angle. And while they were doing that, I was me and her standing there, and I've known her for like maybe a minute, and I went to her. I said, "Laura," I said, "I feel really weird." I said, "I've hardly even know you, and I'm licking your face." She goes, "I kind of like that you don't know me." It's kind of so it's kind of funny. Yeah. Yeah. There's some good stuff.
Wow. Now, did you do all your own stunts?
So I have a stunt double. I did have one named Tim Sitars. His nickname is Bubba. He played ball like I did. He's a bald guy too. A big dude. He did all of my craziness. Like in the Men in Black 2 where they hang me upside down, that was him. There's other things, but I'm a pretty good fighter. I'm a martial artist. I used to be, I am, not anymore, but all that stuff. And so I would do all the fight scenes and things like that. I'm good. When I fought Von Damme in Bulgaria, in the movie called In Hell, that's all me, and like when I fought Buffy and, that's all me, or even like the charm stuff was all me, but the ratcheting or getting thrown off something or whatever, that's all stunt guy stuff. So I don't do that. So, yeah.
Okay.
And
I was curious because you have a credit you were a stunt coordinator for.
That's
Pillow Talk. Right?
That was a small movie, little film short that my friend, an actress in my film class, she wanted me to come there and help organize some stunts. I'm like, yeah, I can kind of tell you what to do and not to do. And so I did. And so they gave me a credit. I'm like, okay.
Well, hey, you appeared on this show, so tomorrow you're going to have an IMDb credit for that too.
Well, I was actually wondering why they needed a stunt coordinator for a movie called Pillow Talk.
I agree. Why would you? I guess it really depends on who you're dating, right? So you might need
what kind of pillow talk you're having.
Yeah.
So I do want to bring up real quick, folks, for everybody watching or listening. Like I said before, all of Michael's information is in the show notes up above or down below. But he's got some appearances coming up. He's going to be at Niagara Comic-Con. I'm not sure of the dates because I'm not as good as Leo and I didn't look it up. So sorry, deal with it.
I can tell you what it is. Let me tell you. So Niagara, 25th to the 27th of this month. Yes.
There you go.
And then
New York, correct?
Yeah, 15th to the 17th at New York Blood and Tattoo and Horror Con.
Jag's just got excited.
Isn't Niagara in New York?
Yeah. No, this is the Canadian side. But yeah.
Oh, you're going. Okay, all right. So it's a
And it's
Canadian.
kind
side.
of cool.
Okay,
Some guys I played college ball with are going to go to it, so they haven't seen them in a long time. So it'd be cool.
nice.
So I wanted to make sure that we touched on that, folks, that, he's got a couple of appearances still this year where you can go out and meet this gentleman. I had the pleasure of quickly chatting with him a few weeks back in Marlborough, Mass. He's an amazing gentleman. Big dude, let me tell you. I was like, holy shit.
Dude, you're a fucking hobbit.
I am a hobbit, but that's still, he's a big dude.
Yeah. At 66, gonna be 67, I still haven't lost any height, I don't think. I just got my knee replaced, and I have to tell you, that's a blessing. I've been living with pain, excruciating pain, since 1985. Through all the movies I did and everything, I just wasn't. I remember doing the Van Damme film in Bulgaria. We had the last 2 weeks of. I was there for 2 months, and the last 2 weeks were nothing but fight scenes, and I didn't think I was going to make it through. I just said, excuse my language, I just said, fuck it. If I die, I die.
Right.
Here. So.
And you don't have to excuse your language. We ran the disclaimer at the beginning. It's an 18+ show.
Dude, we've been swearing for the last 45 minutes.
Right. And if you say something you're not supposed to say, your agent calls you, not us. So.
But I have to tell you, when I played football, I was a walk-on, right? So you're going against all these scholarship guys, right? You have to make a name for yourself. And I remember every time I would get in the locker room, when I suit up to go to practice, the walk from the locker room to the practice field was probably 10 minutes. That 10-minute walk, I said to myself, I'm going to die today. I am going to hit people so freaking hard and be so freaking crazy. I am going to die today. I will freaking hurt people. And as an actor, I took a lot of that type of seriousness and I don't care. We're going to get this role right. Like, for instance, on Hills of Eyes, when I ran through the door, the pane glass door, and I blew that open. If you watch the outtakes, they're on YouTube. I get done one time and I go, fuck yeah. Because I really thought taking that axe and cutting it through like this, the pick part was going to jab into my chest and I'll be freaking impaled and die there in freaking Morocco. So I didn't know. I said, fuck it. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to run as hard and as fast as I can. And I went through that and went, whatever. And it was funny that the director, holy shit, everybody freaked on how violent and crazy that was. So, and I've taken a lot of that same type of intensity that I did with football,
and applied
it to as an actor. But under control. In football, there's no, some control as long as you don't get a penalty, right? So, but as an actor, I can't. It's the same type of thing. So it's good. It's a great release. Let me tell you.
I was going to say, were you filming that scene during the divorce?
Yeah. That I was done with that. So, but yeah. So,
one thing you had mentioned backstage is that you've written a couple of screenplays.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Would you like to touch a little bit on that while we still have some time? Or
yes, sir. One I just got an option is called My Good Boy. So you always hear these great sports stories about someone who wins the Super Bowl or wins the World Series. He hits all these sports stories, right? But you never hear about the guy who his career ends in a second. It's done, and you're left with nothing. For me, it was you go to the Cowboys, you get in camp, you do all these great things, you're doing great. Everybody's like this. All of a sudden, it's over, and you go back, and now you're not the big man on campus anymore. Now you're a wash-up. You're a has-been, and you still haven't finished your degree, which you need to finish. You have the girls that you dated before in college now won't even look at you. It's just all of this. It just drives you. And it took me, and I went through a bit of depression, and I turned that into violence, which led to, this violence then led to I got stabbed, gun in my face, shot at. I got some other holes in me regarding that we're not going to talk about. But the thing is, it led to me getting out of it. And so that turned into, when I was writing these screenplays, there's a gentleman by the name of Carter Fisk, who was a Disney executive, creative executive. and he loved my writing. And he says, when I told him this story about what happened after football, he said, that's the story you need to write. So the first time I wrote it, I cried the whole way through. And just thinking about it gets me emotional just talking about it now. But so I wrote it, and it's called My Good Boy, because that's what my mom used to always say to me. And it's about that. It's about a kid who was like me, who grew up being picked on and beat up, and he used sports to get back and to gain that fame. And then when your knee gets blown out, you're driven. It's set in Detroit, where I was at, and you get pulled into the underworld. And I literally had people wanting to basically, off me, put an end to me.
Wow.
So yeah, I one time coming back to my apartment in Detroit, and a guy sitting on my car with a 9 on his lap. I would carry a 45, and I said, "Yo, dude, get off my car." And he got up, and I had a nickname, wasn't very proud of. Anyway, so he said, "You that dude?" And I said, "Yeah, that's what they call me." And he stood up, pulled out his 9. I pulled out my 45, and we stood about maybe 15 yards apart. We stared at each other for about 30 minutes. And I said, "Let's go. You ready? Let's go." And then he just laughed, got in his car with his boys, and drove off. And I got my car. Holy fucking shit. I ain't fucking dying for this shit. I'm not dying for this shit. I'm not dying for how in the fuck did I get involved in this? This is fucking bullshit. This whole thing. So anyway, just it's that whole thing. So
right.
How I got out. So
right.
It's about go ahead.
Have you ever thought about writing a book about your life?
I've had a ton of people ask. I'm sorry, I got a little teary-eyed just talking about this.
No. You don't have to be sorry. I mean,
I love the emotion. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, emotional things, and this is why we love our show, is because we're not a standard Q&A. We're finding out things about you that not everybody knows, but there's stories that
make you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, agreed. But it's yeah. So there's a gentleman in Ireland, actually, I befriended. I did his podcast like a couple years ago. Really great guy. And he reached out to me and he says, "Man, I've been just hearing all these great things about you and like the stories." And it's funny, I know we're going to run out of time in 3 minutes. One of my most favorite things out of all of my accomplishments, and I don't know if they're just things that I did, right? I don't know if they're accomplishments. They're just things that I've done. The greatest accomplishments for me is when someone comes up to me and says, "You know what? You talked to me about a year ago and you told me this and you told me that and you told me not to give up and to kick ass. And I listened to what you told me and I am successful now. And this happened to me a couple of weeks ago at a show. This guy, he was a star. And he told the same thing. And some random guy out of nowhere, a tech guy called me about a month ago, told me the same thing. And so it's like too, when you have your kids, right? You tell your kids, don't do this or don't do that or do this and do that. And they listen to you. At first you think they're just ignoring you, but they listen to you. Those are the best things. You're
helping people. You're not even trying.
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the best thing. That is the best thing. And so my book is going to be called The Holy Shit Factor. And that's the title of it.
Perfect.
Because you know what? When you get older in life, it's all about having the holy shit factor. I got a wife that when you look at her, you go, "Holy shit, she's freaking awesome." I want to get a house that when I walk in, I go, "Holy shit, this is freaking awesome." I know it's a material thing, but still,
right?
You want experiences you have, places you go, a dinner you have, whatever it is, people you hang out with, experiences. They have to have the holy shit factor, because all this other thing is you're not taking anything else with you.
Right.
Can't take your money, can't take your car, can't take anything. It's all about the experiences. But the holy shit factor, I think, is what I want, and that's kind of what's always driven me. I remember I was doing a movie called Spy Mate. It was a chimpanzee who was the partner of a spy whose chimpanzee was a partner was a chimpanzee, and I got to fight the chimpanzee. I played Richard Kind's right hand man, and I drove a snowmobile on top of a mountain in the middle of Canada and called my friend and said, "Guess where I'm at right now? This is fucking awesome. I can see the curvature of the earth, and I'm calling you on my cell. This is freaking awesome." You know, so that's what I'm talking about. The holy shit factor.
Right.
Enjoy shit, man. Enjoy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and I mean, I think that's, and I don't know about Jeff, but that's one of the biggest reasons why I love doing this part of what we do, this show, because we've got to chat with a lot of amazing people. You know, I mean, we do conventions.
Stories.
Yeah, we do a lot of conventions every year. We do, you know, same as invited guests. We tour. We sit in the green room. We chat. Everybody, we're all just normal human beings.
Same with me, man. I'm the same thing. I'm the same thing.
I
had to tell you. So with my job, just a couple days ago, I have a new customer, and I just got them into Home Depot. This their product in Home Depot. That was in the morning time of yesterday. My wife's in the kitchen making and I walk in there and I go, and I chest bump her and go, "Fuck you!" That's what I'm talking about. It's freaking. That's just having fun and freaking enjoying life and kicking ass.
Right. I mean, if you're not enjoying life and you're not having fun at what you do, then
fucking change it.
There's
change it.
There's links in the show notes also, people, for you know, anybody that feels
need
like
help.
They shouldn't feel. If you need help, we have all the veterans crisis hotlines and suicide prevention hotlines, and they're all in there. I mean, there's people out there that will talk to you.
I'll talk to you. Fuck, just call me. I don't care. It don't matter.
Right. And he will talk to you because he talked for 42 minutes straight, man. I didn't even have to ask a question. That's probably one of the best shows that we've ever had.
Thank you. It's like, I know I talk too much. I love telling stories. I love, you know, I do.
Well, and that's why I think a book. That's why I think a book about your life, because you are able to just tell those stories.
You persevere.
Yeah, you persevered through, I mean, a ton of shit. For, you know, being a military brat, traveling from here to here to here, which we've all heard in the past is not an easy thing. You know, then yourself going into the military, having a dream of being a pro football player, getting right on the cusp, losing it.
Yeah,
you know, a new door into Hollywood opening for you.
Yeah.
So
just recently, I found a video on YouTube the first game back from my injury in college, and I got my knee dislocated twice in the game, and I watched myself on the ground wreathing with my knee dislocated. But in between the first play and then like within I think the end of the fourth quarters when I dislocated the second time, I played in the middle of that. And there was a time I was crushing people. I took this one dude and drove him about 15 yards off the ball. And I jumped up like a little boy and like did splits because I was so freaking happy. I just loved it. I loved it. I loved kicking freaking ass. So, but it was very painful and emotional to watch get me go down.
Right.
Twice. But anyway.
All right.
Yeah,
So.
But at 6'7", kicking ass is easy for you. I'm like 5'6".
6'4".
I run into people's asses.
I'm 6'4". He gave me 3 inches.
I was trying to be nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I need to know what kind of dog that is.
Oh, come here, Gooch. Gooch, come here. Gooch, come here.
He's Jack Chi. His name's Gucci.
Come here, Gooch. Come here.
Gucci.
Gucci.
Yeah, the reason why he's Gucci.
Gucci Pierre.
Gucci Pierre. He's a Jack Chi. He's very happy.
He was chasing the cat.
He's very happy. He's a good dog.
Happy.
I inherited him when I met. I have a cat, so yeah, I'm a bald guy with a cat.
Okay.
There you go. And so
I have 2, so
yeah. So Gucci's really cool. It's funny. The moment he goes outside, he's got to poop. I mean, that's like you can bet on that.
He's
so
looking at
he's looking at himself right now.
Hi, puppy.
Right there. See, he watches TV with us. So he's Gucci because when Paige got him, he was small enough to fit in her purse, her Gucci purse.
Oh, okay.
That's Mr.
Nice.
Gooch. Yeah, he's a good dude.
That answers one of your normal last questions, Jeff.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, you're gonna change it?
Well,
So
no. I won't change it. Oh, typically, because I usually ask the guest, are you a dog guy or a cat guy? And obviously, you're both.
Yep, I am. I came with a cat. When I got divorced, I moved. I got that out of the divorce, which is really important. I because he was a good dude. His name's
You
Mr.
left
Dash.
with a pussy?
I did.
Exactly.
I wasn't getting any, so I had to take something.
I got the pussy in the divorce.
Yep.
It only took an hour and 4 minutes, folks, but he derailed the show.
I couldn't resist that one.
I know you could.
So every morning, this cat is sitting in his lap. So
On the computer.
he's
When I'm not working. Yeah.
Truth be told, I've said it before. You just like having a pussy in your lap. That's the reason you have a cat, and that cat will sit there for hours in his lap. But it's true.
I love it.
I laugh at it.
Thank you for that. That was awesome.
You know, she's wearing Christmas jammies, and she's already decorated the house Christmas, so it's not even
That's because
Halloween.
we're so busy.
Yeah, so
Okay,
So-
no Halloween for you, huh?
no, yeah, we kind of skipped
No.
that. And it's funny when you know, back when I had was married, I had the boys when they're younger. People will say, "Aren't you going to dress up in one of your characters, dude?" I do that professionally. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just going to hand out candy.
We just hand out.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Funny.
So, we are a little over time, but we're okay with that. But we don't want to keep you because I know you're busy. So I'm going to flip to Jags real quick here because I know you haven't had any questions tonight. Do you have a last question for our amazing guest?
No, I was just here to chill, and you know, I love him, especially Hills Have Eyes. So I was like, hey, I'm good with just kicking it because I have another podcast tonight.
That's good. Yeah, with Hills, it's funny. A little quick story. So when the part in the hills where I'm in the house and the dog attacks me, they had this French dog trainer. He was a stunt guy too, but he had brought in these dogs, all these German Shepherds. And I would go and they put a pad on my arm. It was underneath my suit jacket that I wore for the hills. But they brought, this is funny. So they brought these 3 dogs. One was a younger dog. They tried him, but he wasn't very controllable. And so that didn't work. So they wouldn't work for camera. So they brought an older dog, and he would grab onto my arm, you know, I'd control, but he didn't have strong, his jaws would always let go. Leave it to the female dog, always going for my balls every freaking time. I'm just standing there, and that dog is staring right at my balls, just staring at me, you know, when we're between takes. And the stunt coordinator's there, the dog handler's there, and I had to put the pad down by my balls because the dog every time would be snapping at my ball. I'm like, typical woman. I'm sorry, that's just what happened. Always going for your balls. So,
Wow. You should have padded that and put that in the movie. Let him go for it.
yeah. So
Right.
That would be awfully ballsy.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right.
Jeffrey,
I could
Go
tell you
ahead.
another story. Can I tell you another story?
go ahead.
Okay. So this one's funny. This is kind of weird too. So when I used to bounce this bar after football, I bounced at this bar, and it was called the Nectarine Ballroom. Before that, it was called Second Chance. They'd always bring in these different bars. I worked there every night, pretty much. And then every night was different. But on Wednesdays was band night. So they had some big bands coming there, right? Before Red Hot Chili Peppers came in there before they were huge. So Anthony Kiedis and all those guys came in, and they started playing, and they asked all the bouncers. I was the lead bouncer. They had all the bouncers standing in front of the stage so people wouldn't stage dive, right? But behind was a mosh pit, and people were just freaking jacking us, throwing elbows in the back of our head. We're standing like this against So halfway through the concert, and this bar held 1,000 people. Anthony Kiedis stopped the concert and said, "I want everybody here to beat the shit out of the bouncers. Nothing but a brawl for the rest of the night." One of my guys got stabbed, and so and we ended the whole night early. They went down to the green room as they're coming back up. We waited for them, and my buddy had Flea sideways against the wall, and I had Anthony Kiedis by the neck up against the wall, and we took them and we threw them. I threw them out. We all threw them out the door. We had these big glass doors, and they had the push bars, so we popped them out. Then they hit the ground, and they hit the ground and got up. They go, you guys will always be bouncers, but we're going to be famous. And so now let's flash forward. I'm at the Orpheum Theater in downtown Los Angeles. I just get the award for The Hills Have Eyes for Fuse Fangoria Chainsaw Awards. So after the show's over, I notice who's sitting 2 rows up from me, Anthony Kiedis. And he's there. And I stand up. I'm with my manager. I stand up, and he's standing. He goes, "Hey, Michael, right?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Congratulations." I had bald by this time. Right time I had hair. And he looks at me, and I look at him, and I say, "You don't remember me, do you?" And he goes, "No, man." I said, "Yeah, we met before, like years ago." "Oh, really? All right, cool, man. Well, congratulations." I said, "Yeah." And I don't want to say anything up, but it's so funny that I met him, run this guy like, 20 years later, so
Right.
pretty funny. So crazy.
I would have said it.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't.
I would have said it too. I would have been like, "Yep, you're famous, but so am I, and I have an award."
It's all good. All good. So, all right.
All right.
Jeffrey,
I'm
last
done.
Yeah,
question.
my final question, standard question. What do you like in your pizza?
Oh, oof, you're going to hate me. You're going to hate me.
Probably.
Pineapple.
Yes.
Okay, I don't quite hate you because
Pineapple?
mushroom is below pineapple.
Pineapple and sausage. I love pineapple sausage pizzas.
Wow.
And my wife hates it. She goes, who does that? I go, well, I'm from California. Everything is pineapple in California.
See, mine's pineapple, pepperoni, and jalapeno.
Yeah, so no, mine's pineapple and sausage.
Yeah, I unfortunately can't eat sausage anymore because it has fennel seeds, and I was diagnosed with diverticulitis. Welcome to being older, folks. It's a good time. It's a good fucking time. So usually I don't have a last question, but my wife is yelling at me from behind my studio, and she said, "I have a question." So I'm going to use that as the last question. She wants to know, which Charmed girl did you like working with the best?
Probably they were all great. Listen, you hear all this stuff about the tension between Shannon Doherty and Alyssa Milano and things like that, and I noticed that. You could see that, but each one worked equally hard. I thought Shannon was treated poorly especially by fans. One time she got a dozen roses. She opened up and they were all a dozen dead roses. I mean, that was poor. But she worked her ass off. I saw her working separately with stunt coordinators on a fight scene. And Alyssa was always super nice to me. I'll be on the set as Belthazor, and she would always walk up give me a kiss on the cheek saying, "You're not scary." Right. And then Holly was always nice, but she was kind of like, I didn't really engage with her. She was nice though. I mean, there's a scene where her and her stunt double were on my shoulders, and there's a shot of that when I was playing Shax. So no, all the girls were super nice to me. I think Shannon was probably maligned a little bit, but I think, it was good. It was good. And Julian McMahon's always great. Was great to me. So yeah, it was good. It was good. It's too bad Shannon passed away, just a little while ago. So
Nice. So with that, folks, I am going to start wrapping the show up. Michael, we just asked you to hang tight till the stream ends, and then I'll let you know when that happens. So, Michael, where do you like interacting with your fans on the social medias?
Well, I have Instagram, but I don't have a lot of people, but Facebook, I'm maxed out on friends, but you can always message me through that, or Instagram or X. All those are good. You can also email me at mbs@michaelbaileysmith.com if you have any questions. And then that's it. I think we're good.
So, like I said, folks, all those are in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. Jags,
What's up?
you know the question, baby, for the end of the show.
Yeah, so you guys can check me out on Sound Injection multiple times a week. We always have bands come on, everything from small to big. We have a lot of bands this week and next week. We actually have a show tonight. So if you guys missed the music videos like back in the MTV days, come on 9 o'clock tonight on Hellfire and Sound Injection. Come hang out, see some cool videos, and we'll have a good time.
Excellent. Jeffrey.
Great show. Thank you, Michael. That was I really, really enjoyed that.
No, I like your Panthers, and thank you.
Oh, you do? Thank you. I get a room full. Anyway, stilltoken.com, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Just like always. Just go to stilltoken.com or Token with the Dead on Facebook. Send us a message. I'd love to hear from you.
Wow. You're keeping it short and sweet tonight.
Yeah, that gummy's really working pretty good.
I can tell. I can tell. So we want to thank Michael for taking time out of his busy day. His amazing wife, Paige, I believe.
Paige, yes.
Paige. Check the show notes, check the ticker. You'll see her amazing startup company coming up. And, Gucci.
Gucci.
Can't forget Gucci.
Yeah.
For taking time out of their busy lives to entertain you folks. Hopefully you learned some things that you didn't know, maybe some things that you did know. Make sure you check Michael out at his upcoming events in New York and Niagara.
Yes.
Follow him on the socials where you can. To all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do so people like us can come up here and do what we do. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. We're out of here.
Peace.
Thank you.
So come on, hey, step it